Okay, great. Okay, so Ed, God could and would if he were sought. Yes, let's welcome Ed. Thanks, Ed.
Okay. So, yeah, as you see, I've turned Californian. But anyway, let's, since I really have no clue as to what it is, that I should be saying, I really need to start with a reminder to myself and to everybody else here that there is a power and a consciousness that is within all of us. It knows everything. It is everything. It is what the Jewish religion says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one." And the big surprise is that it really is. Now, I don't always live that, but I remind myself once again that there is a consciousness and a power and a presence. And that consciousness is within me right now, and I am within it. I am everything. I am all. And I allow myself to make that manifest right now. Amen. So, the topic that I was asked to speak about is God could if he would, if he were asked. And the fact is that, you know, the problem is that we don't really ask him very much. I mean, first of all, most of us don't accept the idea that there is something like that. I don't. It's a very, very subtle thing. It's a very moment-to-moment thing. Because what happens is that I know for myself, I get distracted one way or another. I get scared. I want to be important. I allow myself to be scattered. And what I really wanted to say this morning about all of that is, as I think I said yesterday, it seems to be more or less a general agreement among all the religions of the world that there is the Christ consciousness or the Buddha nature or the Tao or whatever it is you want to call it within us already. And yet, for whatever reason, we choose to forget that. And one of the great mysteries, perhaps the greatest mystery, is why. Unfortunately, I don't know the answer to that question. Well, whether it's fortunate or not, I just don't. So I'm not going to talk about that. But what I am going to talk about is yes? Oh. But what I am going to talk about is the idea that we can uncover all of that stuff, all of that that's within us, by doing the steps, and the necessity of doing the steps to do that. But what I want to do before I do that is recall the image that I think is throughout all religious literature, which is the image of the sun radiating and you know, sending light and heat to the earth. And of course, it's pretty obvious that it's always doing that, right? The thing is that we standing here on the ground don't always see it because clouds get in the way. And it's very easy to think, well, okay, because the clouds are in the way, well, there's no sun anymore. But I think most of us, you know, we know very well that the sun continues to shine, even on a cloudy day. And as a matter of fact, even when it's raining, even in the middle of a hurricane. And of course, we know that, I know that from practical experience because I flew here from New York, and usually commercial airliners fly above the clouds. And sure enough, that's what they did. They went right above the clouds, and there it was sunny. And it is always sunny. So the question is, what about us? And for us, at least for me, what I am trying to do is trying to contact myself. I explained yesterday that there's this idea of recovery. You know, I recovered my room key. And well, okay, I'm in the process of recovery. And I have to say that there's an awful lot to recover. You know, I can see that yesterday I had the opportunity to sort of get ready to talk. I didn't realize that I was going to start this thing. And I certainly didn't realize I was going to start this thing immediately. So I did this whole thing of meditation and prayer and yada, yada, yada. But the thing is that I shouldn't have to do that. You know? If I really were on my game, well, I shouldn't say, all right, if I were really on my game, I'd always be ready, you know? I mean, I was speaking to Andrew just before I went there, and as a matter of fact, I probably should have been in my room instead of speaking to Andrew, but I did instead. And I said to him, you know, I don't think I've ever seen you get angry. And he thought for a minute, and he said, yeah, you haven't. And I said, well, why not? And he said, well, it's because, I mean, in the context that I've seen him, it's because it's always an unfolding of what's going on with his fellowship. And he's aware of the fact that whatever seems to be going on the surface, it's all part of a greater picture. And he understands that enough so that, you know, he doesn't get freaked out when, you know, there seems to be a lot of disagreement and the kinds of things actually that went on earlier this week. I, of course, was completely freaked out. It was a good thing I went to the beach, because that's probably what I needed to do. But, you know, he wasn't. He knew the sun was always shining. And, you know, I guess the way it works is, you know, we come here, and we stay here, and I guess, you know, eventually we sort of catch on. At least that's what I'm hoping. I mean, I've only been at this for 2.5 years, you know, in this fellowship. And as I explained yesterday, I've only just completed my 4th step in the past few weeks. So I'm looking forward to, you know, turning over my 5th step and, you know, moving on with this process. And I really have no idea where it's going to lead, except for the fact that I'm sure that if I can summon up the courage to really do it and make all those really difficult amends, and there are some that I really don't want to make, that something wonderful will happen. What I guess I'd like to say is one of the things that I spent a fair amount of time doing in my life is studying the science of prayer. And that turns out to be quite an education. I was involved with what is generally known as the New Thought movement. Those of you who are from New York, you may have remembered that there were some posters right in front of Lincoln Center. There's a picture of this guy named Stuart Grayson who was talking about this thing called the science of mind. And I studied with him, and I studied with a few other people. And what I learned was that it really is true that what you believe makes manifest. In fact, there is the claim that everything you experience comes from you. And I have enough experience to take that claim very seriously. Although it's pretty scary, it's preposterous. You know, it's kind of hard for me to believe that I caused that tree right outside our window to be there, or that I caused what happened in Syria. or what is happening in Syria. That's kind of strange. I don't know. I do know that I contribute to the mass consciousness in ways that I can't even imagine. And the mass consciousness produces, well, it produced collectively a decision to build this place and plant that tree. In fact, well, the mass consciousness produced what is going on in Syria and whatever response the United States and other places is going to make to it. And I'm part of that. Now, there's also the idea that I've studied in the science of prayer that I'm not a separate consciousness, that I'm part of the universal consciousness. And that in fact, that is why it is that everything that I believe makes manifest. And that's why it is that that whole story that I told yesterday about meeting my wife, how it happened. The thing that's really tricky about all of this, though, is that when I say, okay, what you believe makes manifest, the deal is that it's what you really believe, really, the tips of your toes. And the truth is, for me, that what I really believe, in spite of being in this fellowship for 2 years at this moment, is that, well, maybe, okay, I'm struggling with this in truth. But there's a big part of me, in spite of everything, that really believes I'm stuck at this job at Bank of America that I hate, and I will never do anything else throughout the rest of my career, and that's all I will do. And that's why I haven't moved away from there. Because that's my down to the ground, barefoot belief. At the tips of my toes, tips of my unmanicured toes.
So the next one I'm doing is 10.
I managed to change that belief about being,
10:30.
shall we say, unlovable. And as a result, that whole thing with my wife happened. Now, that was a miracle. It's possible to make miracles. That's why it is that I said to my sponsee, okay, as part of our second step, we are going to make a miracle. Now, wonderful things have apparently been happening to this guy, so he says, well, you know, it's a miracle we've already been doing. And I say, no, that's the cheap way out. No, I want a real miracle. I want something that, no matter what, you cannot argue with. We're going to see what that is. I'm here. He's back in New York. He's thinking about it. I believe that it is possible to make that happen. And that, well, I was going to say I will make that happen. But what I want to say about that is that, you know, one of the things that we do in this fellowship is we talk about higher power. I get a little worried when I hear that phrase because it starts to smack of what I call fetishism, because it doesn't embrace the totality of what what that noun actually refers to. Remember, it is everything. It is everything you like. It is everything you don't like. It is everything you've never even heard of before. It is some star at the other end of the galaxy that may or may not have life. Everything. Nevertheless, if we put it in a box and we call it higher power, or even worse, my higher power, well, it's not mine, it's not yours, it's not Eddie's over there, it's not Steve's over there. It doesn't belong to any of these people. Sorry. We belong to it. Now, for myself, I like to think about it. I mean, it's easy to think about it as outside of me. because it is so, I mean, right now, because I'm not all that recovered, not all that, shall we say, realized, I don't experience me, Ed, as having power coming through me all the time. Very once in a while I do, and it's pretty amazing. And so I want to talk about it as though it's easy for me, from my experience, to talk about it as being outside of me. And we all do that, I've noticed, in this fellowship. Well, we talk about higher power wants this, higher power wants that, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and maybe we're even right. The thing that a lot of people object to is the notion that it's outside of us. And ultimately, it isn't. One of the things that the tradition that inspired this place, as part of that tradition, there was this fellow named Jesus. And whatever you think about that whole story, the fact of the matter is there is a story there. And if you just go by what the story says, it's very interesting. And one of the things that he says is, I and my Father are one. What that suggests to me is that to the degree that, I mean, there comes a point in one's recovery. And what are we recovering? Our Christ consciousness, our Buddha nature, really. There comes a point where there is no separation. So I can say I, and that means I and my Father being one, that combined thing. That's what I aspire to. And when I talk about a vision, and in fact I prayed for, to really understand my vision just a few minutes ago, because, that's what this is supposed to be about. But I was reminded just now that my vision is for that to be true for me, Ed. In fact, I think it's now appropriate for me to share what my vision is, and I wrote this out. My vision is not to win the Nobel Prize or, make the Forbes 400 list or, And the thing is that we should all be thinking big. And that's pretty big, right? Well, I figured I would go all the way. The vision that I had, I was standing, my wife and I went to the beach about a year ago. And I remember standing in the water on one of these beautiful days, just like today, and looking at the waves, and realizing that there is a possibility that I could just keep walking, and I can merge with the beauty of the waves. And it would stop being me, but I would become everything. I knew that. I could feel that. And I can't tell you how much I wanted that. I also knew that as I was and as I am, that wasn't happening. So if I tried to do that, I'd just drown, and it would be really, really, really stupid. And sure enough, at that moment, when I was realizing that, okay, I don't want to do that right now, I have to do all this preparatory work first, at that moment, my wife was standing on the shore, waving to me, saying, Ed, you're out too far, you got to come back. And I thought, oh, right, okay. So, of course, I came back. But I never forgot that. And that's my vision. The thing that I keep trying to figure out is, okay, it's all very nice to have a vision like that. And I want to take that back and say, you know what? Now the question is, did you see me just sort of poo-poo that a little bit? Okay. Okay, well, that's really what we're talking about. At that moment, I wasn't asking God. At that moment, God would if you were asked. Well, I wasn't asking. So let's try that again. Now the question is, having had that vision, how can I honor it in my day-to-day life, in my moment-to-moment life? And all right, I mean, it's pretty obvious that my being here at this moment, not bad. You know, this is probably a good thing to do. The question is, what happens when I go back to Bank of America? And what happens when I go back to my messy apartment and, you know, my son, I have 2 sons, and, you know, they're not doing what I want them to do, and they're giving me a hard time because they're teenagers, and that's kind of what teenagers are taught to do in this society. What happens when I get back? And on September 20th, I'm going to be on the GSB call, and you know, everybody's going to be shouting at each other, and there's going to be mass confusion. Now, I don't know. I mean, maybe you guys are maybe the new administration is going to run things better than I did. That's the question. You know, can I be like Andrew and just understand that it's, you know, what I said is true, you know, about God being one and all that sort of stuff? Or, well, see, there again, I just sort of pushed it away. You see that? It's this thing at the edge of consciousness, pushing away the truth. For whatever reason, we don't want to hear it. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to slip another one in. By my nature, I'm kind of depressive. And I've realized that the reason I'm depressive is because I want to hold the universe hostage, just like a little kid who won't take a breath until they get their way. And I see other people do that too. So obviously, you know, at that moment, nobody's asking God for anything. I'm obviously struggling with that and trying to sort of get beyond that. But, you know, let's see. You know, there are probably people who are going to want to ask me questions. I think I'm going to say a few more things, though. One of the things that I remember that started me sort of a milestone along this journey of my life is I spent a couple of years as a researcher in Germany in evolutionary biology because I was trying to understand, well, you know, whether you really needed God to understand evolution is really what I was trying to come down to. And, you know, that's a whole long story. But there I was in Germany. I was doing this research project. And, of course, you know, I'm Jewish, right? And I remember looking around and thinking about, well, what was going on here, you know, maybe 40 years earlier or whenever it was. I guess it was about 50 years earlier. And the aphorism came to me. Every atom of the universe exists to exact moral justice. Every atom of the universe exists to exact moral justice. I thought about that aphorism. It just sort of popped into my head. And I thought, well, that could mean either, and I think what I was really thinking about when that aphorism popped into my head was I was thinking about the exquisite beauty of the law of karma. That the experience that I've had when I've really looked at things with the law of karma and the law of attraction is the exquisite precision by which all of this is carried out. It seems as though if you wait long enough, people get exactly what they deserve. Exactly. Now, our problem is that we don't have a long enough memory. We don't know the full story. And there's where the faith comes in. Anyway, so every atom in the universe exists to exact moral justice, meaning the precision of it. But then I realized that there was another meaning to that, which is the word exact could be a verb. So it actively seeks moral justice. It takes moral justice out. To exact something means to take your due. And I could see also that that was true. The different things that have happened to me and the different things that happened throughout the great sweep of history. It seems as though the universe was exacting moral justice on people. Now, understanding that requires a certain humility, because we think it's very easy to slip into this thing, oh, why is this happening to me? Needless to say, you're not asking God for anything at that moment. But the problem with that is that you're not really thinking clearly, and you can't really see clearly. So you don't understand what's going on. Or I don't understand what's going on when I'm in that headspace too. And I do. Obviously, like everybody else, or most everybody else. I think there's some people who don't. But anyway, so I wanted to share all that with you. And I want to remind everybody, finally, to finish up, that, the third step is not something you do once. The third step should be something to be done every second. Every second. You see, you saw me a couple of times sort of not surrender my will in my life. In this little thing here, I just wasn't quite there. Now, if I want to get to my vision, I got to have all of my ducks in a row. So, in between now and then, I'll take some questions. Thank you. So, anybody want to?
Well, first of all, what does that word mean? Secondly, what is it? I think it means you created a sentence based on what word.
All right. I'm going to, let me get that thing over there and I'll write it.
You have to ask questions on the microphone because we're recording this. So could you come here and ask?
I know. Oh, no. No, I'm a brilliant idiot. Believe me, I'm okay with myself. I get it. I entertain myself with my own mind, which is fine. What's the word? Aphorism? What is it? Is that what you said?
Aphorism.
Aphorism. Okay, I forgot what that means. And okay. And what word are you breaking down to mean that? And are you a practitioner?
Of what?
Science of mind. Because I am.
Not licensed.
Oh, I am. I can marry you and bury you. I'd like to do it in that order. Some people think it's the same thing. I can't help it. Here we go. A little coffee and I'm on a roll. So what I know while he's doing this, I believe prayer works. And what they're talking about, and I'm not sure, this is the bigger ideas, right? But there's laws of the universe, and they happen whether you know them or not. And the more you know about them, the better things get. So it's not just what I believe, but there's a power greater than my fear. That's what I know. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm recovering in this program, and I want to share an experience that relates to what Ed's telling us here. I years ago was told I had macular degeneration in my left eye, and I had a cataract in it, and it could not be operated on. This year, I had tenants move out of a rental house, and back east, and the place I was living in here wasn't working out. I said to the universe, I wish I had 2 months to go to work on that house with what had happened with them. I go to the eye doctor and they say that I have cataracts in both eyes and the macular degeneration has improved to the point that it's not a factor. And I have to go to the doctor in Atlanta because the doctor in California only has a 30% chance of success rate. And then I go to the doctor and I have the 2 eye operations and he says, I can't go back to my job right now because I can't lift. I have to lift things in my job. And so I had 2 months medical leave with which I could get contractors and people to do the work on the house because I couldn't do it myself, and with which to heal, and with which to visit my mother. And because she's 86 and I wanted to get to spend a little time with her. And when I said that, I wish I had it, I just released it into the universe. I never thought about whether it would or would not be possible because I was sure it wasn't possible with my job, but I put no energy into it. And I was 5 weeks into being back east before I realized that was God's answer to me, was these 2 cataract surgeries. So thank you.
Hi, this is Justine. Can you please define aphorism clearly? I didn't hear your definition.
Okay. An aphorism is a saying, a quotation.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, so I just want to, you kept saying in your talk, like, I'm doing this thing, I'm pushing it off. And I really didn't get what you were pushing off or what you were talking about.
Oh, okay. There was a subtle denial in the way in my choice of words and in the emotion with which I spoke them. I said, oh, that stuff. When I was talking about a vision that I needed to take seriously. Does that answer your question?
So that was when you were disavowing your power.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
And that's not going with your vision, because your vision is when you're all one with the universe and owning your power.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know, there's something else that I wanted to say that I forgot to say, which is, you know, one of the things that my wife is a psychotherapist, and, you know, one of the things that I've been wondering about for a while is, okay, what's the difference between UA and psychotherapy? Because it seems like you're trying to do the same sort of thing, which is let go of your demons and, you know, come out into the world and so on and so forth. And there are a couple of things that I realized myself about this, because anyway, the first thing that I realized is that what this program offers is unconditional hope. And that is something that is much more powerful. Let's put it this way. Psychotherapy, at its best, offers hope too. But they don't go out of their way to make a big deal about it. It's all about, you know, theory and, you know, the Rogerian this and the Freudian that. And they don't really go into the idea that hope itself is curative. I wanted to share that with you. The other thing that I wanted to share with you is that the more I think about this, the more I realize that what we call higher power, the psychotherapeutic community calls the unconscious. Now, there's a lot of other stuff in the unconscious that, you know, maybe I should say that there are higher powers there, lots of them. Underneath all of that is the higher power. Another question?
You want to go? No. It's coming back from the bathroom. Okay. The topic of asking, right?
Right.
If the aphorism is correct, every atom of the universe exists to exact moral justice, which basically means everything is perfect in God's universe, right?
Right.
So therefore, if everything's perfect, I don't really need to ask.
Yeah, that's true. You don't. Why do we do it anyway? Well, the answer is we need to realize it. Again, if you look at that character in the New Testament, he says, thank you, God, for so-and-so. because he realizes that it is already done. That does seem to be necessary, because it seems as though, as part of that perfection, it seems to be necessary to have that movement of consciousness. Again, I don't know why. I'm just telling you what I see, or more precisely, what I think I see. And that seems to be my time. Thank you.
Oh, I have a question. I guess he's. Yeah, we're okay. Yeah, what I would love to know is.
Okay, thanks, Ed. All right, so now we're going to do Dave, Taper Dave.
These concepts. I would love to know.
Dave,
Oh, I'm just a huge reader.
we're switching. We're having a new topic. I don't know if I have to tell you. We're going to have Andrew come on up and speak on God's economy for 30 minutes or so. And come on up, Andrew.
I have a question. Oh. Yes.
The 12 and 12.
Hi, good morning. My name is Andrew. I'm recovering from underearning. Everyone stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. We're asleep here, guys. This is not good. Stand up. Okay. Okay, what we're going to do is stretch. Let's do some stretching. Forward. Come.
I've been a big fan.
Yeah. Like Let's turn.
I think you got to take it. Oh, that's too bad. The poetry of Aphorism, especially songs.
Okay, thank you very much.
There's another book called Theory of
God's economy. Did you ever look inside a cantaloupe? You have so many seeds in a cantaloupe. Sheket bavakasha. Da-da-da-da-da-da. If you look inside a cantaloupe, there are so many seeds. Right outside, we got these peacocks. And you know what? They're not worrying about eating. They're not worrying. They're okay. They're totally relaxed. They're not worrying about anything. My cat's not worrying about anything. Ever look inside a pomegranate? Pomegranate has got like 1 million seeds in it. So God's economy, like the stars, like seeds in a cantaloupe, is unlimited prosperity and abundance. Eric Fromm said,
might seem pretty crazy, but
Eric Fromm said that most people are alive when they sleep, and they're asleep when they're awake. He said that people are alive when they sleep, and they're asleep when they're awake.
finally got to the point where I felt like, okay, there were certain things I could see.
The problem with under-earning, it's a state of sleep. It's a state of sleep. Could you guys go outside and finish the conversation? Ed? It's distracting.
Sorry.
Thank you. So what we want to do is wake up. We want to wake up. When we have a small reality, we're asleep. And I've experienced it. I know what it's like being in a small reality and being on the road and driving from one account to the next. It's like being asleep. Yeah. A snore reality. Or in Jewish, a snorer reality. He's a snorer. Verstehst, snorer? No. Oh, you could say snore. A snore reality. That's very good. So a snore reality is like a small reality, because we're snoring throughout the day. First you snore, then you snore. Okay, I'm going to explain what a snore is. For all the people in the room of the non-Judaic faith, or all brothers and sisters, but a schnorrer is somebody you invite to your apartment to spend the night, and they spend the week. I can't get this guy out of here. A schnorrer. You give him an inch, and he'll take a mile. You lend him $5, and he wants 100. You say, can I borrow your car for a day? Keeps it for a week. Comes back, it's dented. No, it's the same thing. Same thing, a mooch. But mooch is sort of like, one of those dark, it's like Damon Runyon, Guys and Dolls. The guy's a mooch. What are the odds on the horse? 4 to 9. Yeah, but that guy's a mooch. Yeah, you're right. It's like a different genre of English. But anyway, I digress. So, how much cash is there on the planet Earth? What is the cash value that is currently existing on this planet? Anybody?
Unlimited.
What about gold? What's the gold value in the planet Earth?
There is a finite amount of gold.
Does anyone know what it is?
It's not all mine.
It's not all yours, right. So there's trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars on this planet. There's trillions of dollars of gold, either mined or unmined. But the thing is, we alone, as people who are compulsive cave dwellers, cannot reap the bounty that exists on our planet alone in our thinking. I sure can't. I've been here for years and I can't do it. We need to have God, and God comes through people in an action meeting. God comes through people in an action meeting by saying, leave your comfort zone, and then we say, no, no, anything but that. But yet we want larger lives, right? Right? Yes. What, right? Yes. Okay, so we have to trust some of the action. Now, I heard some great quotes about people getting out of the cave, and they had an action meeting. And their action meeting said, look at 10 companies you want to work for, and call one person in your industry every day. And I had one of those, and there was what was there immediately? Resistance, that's right. What fuels resistance? Fear. What's the number one character defect? Fear, okay, great. Now this is insanity. In the book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill says, you cannot accrue money unless you develop a white heat for it. But I think it's not just true of money, I think it's true of any prosperous vision. Whether it's to have a horse farm, to be a professional speaker, to be a doctor, we have to have a white heat for whatever it is we want. We can't just go around saying, hey, would you like to make $200,000 a year being a radio talk show host? And if we say, that's nice, that would be nice. Is that going to happen? Yep. Is that going to happen, folks? If I say, that would be nice. Yeah. Would you like to be rich one day? Oh, that would be nice. Would you like to have your own ranch? Oh, that would be nice. That would be nice is a very poisonous statement, and it basically means I don't want this. It basically means I don't want this to happen for me. So we really have to look at what we want to do. We have to say, what can I do to bring God consciousness into my life? And we've been talking about fear and faith the whole week, right? Fear, faith, fear, faith. So faith is saying, hey, I want to really look at what I want to do every day. So one of the things I suggest you do is write down what it is you want to do. Today we're going to have a workshop, which is hopefully something that people have been working on, is limiting the 20 things you think you want to do down to 2. And that's very important, because I did it last night and it was very scary what I came up with. Really scary. Really scary. And I'm going to really have to pray to be able to act on it. But it eliminated 18 things that I thought I might do, thought I should do, perhaps did. What that is, Melanie, is that we had a we had an exercise where we asked people to write down 20 vision works, like being a doctor, being a horse trainer, being a circus clown, and over a 3-day period, eliminate 18. So this afternoon, people would have two things that are left on that list, and maybe even one. Maybe even one. So every day, I suggest, because I've been doing this lately, look at what we want to do in 6 months, a year, 2 years, and 5 years. Write it down and put it up there on that screen in the brain. It's important because if we don't commit to that, we're going to stay asleep. When our souls are asleep through small realities, are they happy? A small reality is not happy, right? Does anyone know why? Why is a small reality unhappy?
That's my God's plan.
What?
It's squishy.
It's squishy. Okay, anybody else? Not authentic, she said. Anyone else?
It's not what God had planned.
It's not what God had planned. Okay, right.
It's not fun.
Right. Do you know what the word enthusiasm means? To God within. Enthusiasm. So if we're not enthusiastic about our life, we're not doing God's will, are we? If we're not enthusiastic, if we're not enthusiastic about our life, we're not doing God's will. So we may say thy will be done, but we're really turning our back on God. We're not saying we're going to have this unenthusiastic gloop, this gloopy life that we're going to wake up to and trudge through just another day. Now, maybe we have to do a little bit of that now to bring in the money. That's fine. I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm not saying dead or go out and start your own 3-ring circus tomorrow, because that's not good orderly direction. I'm not saying go out and become, a bareback rider for rodeo tomorrow, because that's not good orderly direction. And I'm not saying go out and start, become a high wire walker, because that's what you really want to do after eliminating 18 things you don't want to do. But what I am saying is begin to visualize what it is you want to do and begin to believe it. Because worrying is a meditation on crap. Write it down. Worrying is a meditation on crap. And the opposite of worry is vision. Isn't that amazing? Because all we have in our brain is one screen. We have one movie screen. And we choose what we're going to put on that screen every day. We may put on really gloomy, horrible, grainy shots of us driving around in some beater, or we may see ourselves in a Learjet being paid $100,000 to be a seminar leader at a conference. Yes?
Repeat that and worry.
Okay.
And then what you said out. I couldn't write that.
Let me repeat that from what I remember.
Worry is a meditation.
Well, worry is a meditation on shit, basically. That's what it is. Let's get down to business. That's really what that's what we're talking about. The opposite of worry is vision. See, we have a screen. We have one screen in our minds, one cinema, one screen like this. You see, this is everyone's mind. Should take this here. Home listeners, now I'm standing in front of a screen. This is being recorded, guys. So this is like my mind, okay? By especially practicing step 11, by bringing God into my life, have a choice of what I'm putting on this screen. If I put really bad images on it, guess what I'm doing? I'm worrying. If I put beautiful, prosperous images on it, and sometimes it's a struggle to do it, I'm practicing vision. So I'm responsible for what I put on the screen. Please write this down. I am responsible for what I put down on the screen of my mind. I'm going to say it again. I'm responsible for what I put down on the screen of my mind. And adding to that, bad images equal worry. Worry is a meditation on shit. Positive images equal vision. Many times in the past couple of years when things were not going well and I began to be concerned about money. Concern is very healthy. Concerned about money, because concern is a meditative, deliberate state. I want to be concerned. I want to be concerned about brushing my teeth. I want to be concerned about taking a shower. I want to be concerned about making sense right now. Or maybe making dollars right now. Concern is a healthy, meditative state. I think about prosperous images, such as me being on a Gulfstream 3, me sitting on a beautiful island, me sitting in a castle in Scotland, me being in a beautiful house with someone that I love. There's this guitar made in Long Island, which by a lutherer named Monteleone, and he handcrafts every guitar, and they go for about $10,000 as a starting price and up. So I often imagine me having a Monteleone guitar. They were on exhibit this past summer at the Museum of Modern Art, at the Metropolitan Museum of History, under the Archtop Guitar exhibit. And they're absolutely exquisite Monteleone guitars. And I imagine myself having a Monteleone guitar, which would mean I have to be able to spend between $10,000 to $50,000 on this thing. And they will just skyrocket in value over the next 20, 30 years. But that's not why I have them. It's because they're just works of art and they're beautiful. So I imagine these things. I put those images on the screen. And having said that, if I'm depressed, if I'm down, if I'm anxious, it's much harder to do that. But I could always pray, God, please direct my thinking right now. And then it takes a lot of work to do that. Actually, in sales, I've been doing that for years, where you go out, you don't close the sale, you don't want to buy, whatever. Next one, you don't want to buy, whatever. And after each sale that doesn't work, I have to mentally go back to the last 3 that did. And it's like lifting weights. I mean, I want to say this whole, what I'm putting on the screen stuff, like no matter how you're feeling, and having really prosperous image is really like lifting weights. But the more you do it, like anything else, the more muscles you have to do it. You'll either control your mind, or your mind's going to control you. You'll either control your mind, or your mind will control you. And being alone, there's an old cliche in 12-step recovery, an addict's mind is a neighborhood you don't want to visit alone. The reason for that is that it's very easy to get into fear and resentment in our minds. It's very easy to do. Because it's just us. It's in our heads. That's why it's so great to go into 12-step meetings, because you get out of your head and you get spiritual energy. So that's the whole thing. Everyone knows what it's like to go to a 12-step meeting, and all of a sudden you're sitting there and your thinking is elevated. Am I right? Yes. And all of a sudden your feelings have just lifted, right? Yes. Is that a spiritual process? Yes. Is that God in a way? Yes. Yeah. So that's what we want to do. In our cars, things go well, they don't go well, things are going well, and then you go into the what ifs. Things are not going well, and you go into the what ifs, or you're putting in really horrible images there. We've left God's economy, and we're bringing back the small vision of our realities. So what I'm suggesting the group do is spend 10 minutes right now and think, write out 5 things you're going to do this week to get into God's economy and have a larger, happier reality. 5 things you're going to do this week to get into God's economy and have a larger, happier reality. Because for people like us, if our reality is larger, it's usually happier. Right now, I'm much happier than I would be lying on my couch watching NBC Meet the Press. I'm much happier than I'd be if I were just lying in bed, because I'm using the instincts that God gave me of public speaking, of humor, of thought, of articulation, and I'm using a lot of the gifts that I've been given to do this. And I'm happier. My reality right now is much larger than it would be if I were sitting in a room looking at a mirror. I mean, it just is. It's much happier and much larger. So 5 things that we're going to do to get into God's economy and have a larger and happier life. Since it's 5, we'll just take 5 minutes to do that. And then, as is the tradition of all my workshops, you'll turn to your neighbor, share them with your neighbor, and then your neighbor will share theirs with you. If you're feeling resistant to do that, say this prayer now. God, please remove my resistance to having a larger reality, if it be your will for that resistance to be removed. May thy will, not mine, be done. That prayer will always bring you up and reduce the fear. Got a great suggestion from another member of the fellowship that whenever the fear or anxiety comes in, put your arms around yourself and say, I love you. Say, I love you, Andrew. Put your arms around yourself and say, I love you, Andrew. Just say, I love you, Andrew. That's. I'm expecting everyone every day to say that, no matter. So I want to hear this feeling of West Coast energy. I love you, Andrew. And I'm going to say, yeah. Woohoo, I'm feeling it. I love you, Andrew. You get it. We're being funny. You know what I'm talking about. We need to love ourselves more than we love our cats. I love you, Andrew. And by doing it every day, we're creating a new neural pathway. It's sort of like a brain pathway is sort of like being in the forest and you go to a new destination. And the first time you go there, there's all these woods and foliage. The second day, there's less woods, foliage. Third day, you picked out some weeds, and by the fourth or fifth day, it's a beautiful path to that place. And our brains are like that. Lumosity is an example of how it's possible for neuroplasticity for the brain to recreate and regrow itself. But it takes persistence, just like going to that new destination in the forest. We want to go through the thicket, we want to go through the underbrush, and after a while, we'll have a path to that new destination. So I love you, and done that every day, is at first uncomfortable, because we're much easier saying that we suck. But we want to say that I love you, and that creates a new neural pathway and makes it easier to get to that destination. The brain can always regrow itself, and neural pathways can always be enhanced, grown, and made stronger. It's been proven. Check out Lumosity, incidentally. That's a great tool. Lumosity.com. I'm not endorsing it. It's for free. Lumosity. It is free. You do not have to pay for it. But I use it, and it's part of my wake up every day. LUMOSITY.com. It's an excellent tool because it's for creating new neural pathways. There are different games on it that you play every day, and the brain and those games create increased thought, tangential references. I haven't done it since I've been out here, and my brain feels like I haven't been to the health club the whole week. It really has. So if you think I'm thinking well now, folks, forget it. Get that thing going, and it's really and you forget less. You don't have those forgetful moments. Associations are very easier to get. Okay, let's take 2 more minutes. 5 things that we can do for a larger life. And share it with the person next to you. Let's do it now. Just share what you're going to do. Can I ask for 5 volunteers to share what they're going to do this week? And it's a different experience sharing out into the room than to the person next to you. I'd like 5 volunteers. Go to the mic. Oh, we got more? Okay, 6 volunteers. Go to the mic and just say who you are. If you want to say who you are, you can say you're somebody else.
Hi, I'm Deborah from California.
Hi, Deborah.
So I decided to challenge myself to write 10 rather than 5. I'm going to talk with some people about forming a goals group. I'm going to talk to some people I need to schedule with so I can get clarity on where they're going to fit in my schedule. I'm going to finish reading my 6th step to my sponsor tomorrow evening and begin 7-step work. I'm going to spend time tomorrow with my partner, who was kind enough to let me be here all weekend. I'm going to clear emails tomorrow so that I can start Tuesday less cluttered. Prioritize time for tomorrow's timesheet so as to really maximize efficiency on what I need to get done when and how. Be sure not to skimp on going to the gym this week or on meditation time. This weekend, I'm going to go to our cabin with my partner. I'm going to talk with a close program friend on Tuesday morning, and I'm going to hopefully schedule time with my son, but I'm not in control of his schedule.
Okay, thank you. Everyone gets a round of applause for committing to live in God's economy and have a larger reality. Everyone gets a round of applause. Yes, go ahead.
Hello, I'm Daryl from California here.
Hey, Daryl.
Number 1, I'm going to a meeting, a face-to-face meeting. Number 2, I'm going to put my 17 photos on YouTube. Number 3, I'm going to take my novel and rewrite the part about the talisman. Number 4, I'm going to clean out the library PC. Number 5, I'm going to take out my vision and I am going to rewrite it and read it morning and night. And, 6, goals group. I'm going to start a goals group.
Congratulations. Beautiful.
Hi, I'm Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
Hi. Okay, so I have a lot, so I'm just going to shorten it because I started writing them before you asked.
Right.
Okay, so I'm reaching out to a professional organizer to hopefully inherit some organizing jobs from her. I'm calling 20 people for job leads. And I also was introduced over the phone, or I should say text, the other day about somebody who does what I do and has managed to make a wonderful living at it. So I am going to set the meeting to discuss how to have forward-moving actions with him. And then I'm also calling someone I used to work for, another person, to do event planning for them. And then that's something I do in my sleep, so why not do it while I'm getting paid? And then also going to reorganize some TV shows that I'm selling. I'm a TV producer, so as well. So that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Karen, recovering under-earner.
Hey, Karen.
I'm going to work towards completing my CPA certification. I'm going to complete my LinkedIn profile and join applicable groups. I'm going to request my money back from a vendor that owes me about over $1,000. I'm going to file my tax returns, and I'm going to do something rejuvenating and fun. And then I forgot to put this on the list, but I'm having my first action meeting, so I'll do whatever the heck they tell me to do.
Hooray! Yowza! Yowza!
Hi everybody, my name is Shachar, I'm an under-earner. Hi. Tomorrow I'll meet with the CEO of a company that might need help with marketing. I will actively look for a sponsor this week. I'll prepare myself for the Jewish New Year on Wednesday, that I can be spiritually fit. I'm going to check a website that might need help with some marketing. I'm going to swim and I'm going to take a trip in the LA area on Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Janet,
Hi, Janet.
an under-earner from Los Angeles and challenging a huge fear of speaking at meetings. So I'm going to make a timeline for a workshop I'm teaching in about a month and a half of all that I have to do. I'm going to prepare and send materials to the participants this week that I committed to sending. I'm going to make some flight reservations for 2 trips I'm taking. I'm going to visualize on my screen a successful and prosperous workshop, at least for a few minutes every day. I'm going to send in some expenses for a job I did several weeks ago, and I'm going to pray for the fear to be removed, and as part of that, do the exercise Andrew suggested of putting my arms around myself and telling myself I love me. So thank you so much.
Hi there. Just to open up the opportunity.
You are?
My name is Bill W.
Hey, Bill, I read the book. Good going.
Thank you. I'm going to apply to a job that I saw in the paper yesterday or the day before, doing exactly what I'm doing now, but it's in LA. I had a business before I came here in Connecticut, and I didn't close it. I made $3.50 per hour there, and after being here, if this is a money program, perhaps I could serve God and others and make a lot of money. Obtain a UA sponsor, which I asked somebody today, and started doing reading in that. And serve in UA phone meetings this week by being a timekeeper rather than being a spectator and working out while listening to a meeting. And the fifth one is help my employees document their tasks throughout the week so I can measure what we do. There's no policy and procedure manual, so I'm working my tail off to write one. And I'm going to make a 4-week game plan for the completion of that. For the business, I'm going to speak to 3 lawyers in Connecticut and just say, what's the market like? That business failed because I didn't get out of bed. I don't know how it failed with that little thing happening.
Hey, go figure.
I don't know. But those are the things.
All right, thank you, man.
Hi, I'm Carolyn from Irvine.
Carolyn.
Happy to be here. I'm going to work on, for me, I'm going to get even clearer on my numbers. I'm still doing my B job. And so I specifically have vision this year of working on the 4 passports. My daughter's having a destination wedding. So my number 1 is to create this savings or this prudent reserve so that I can have really fun at this wedding in February, my daughter's destination wedding. So that's a really big thing right now. It's real first and foremost for me. I'm going to call my action team. Time for another meeting. I'm going to work on my 11th step exercises. I took the 11th step face-to-face with my sponsor here on Friday, and that was amazing. And so I'm going to really work on those exercises in my writing. And then my big one is I'm going to be really committed to more time of contemplation. I just need more time to contemplate. That's it.
Thank you. Good. And I want to say one action I've done this week, I've come out of the podium cave.
Hi, my name's Dana, gratefully.
Oh, God, I got to go back.
Oh, you ready for me?
Yeah.
I am a gratefully recovering underearner.
Right.
Hi. Okay, this week, I'm going to an Al-Anon meeting tomorrow. I'm only going to see the guy that I've been dating when I really, really, really want to. I'm going to write for 15 minutes a day and bring my writing. I'm going to finish 2 pages by tomorrow night at 10. I'm going to paint every day for 15 minutes. I'm going to paint my refrigerator pink. I'm going to write the content for my high-end program. I'm going to present to my potential business partner and collaborator after sitting in meditation about what my true terms of the collaboration are. I'm going to market my private lessons through email. I'm going to make a video for that email.
Okay, thank you. Great. Thank you. And you going to go? Okay, my name is Andrew, and I'm going to make sure I get my butt to a BDA meeting this Wednesday night, even though I will not be in the mood to do it. I got to go into Manhattan to do it, but it's one of my 3 programs that I got 2 programs that are in a green state. That one's in the red state, and my work is to turn BDA into as green as UA and AA is, and that's a very important thing for me to do this week. Go ahead.
Thank you, Andrew. I like this service. Okay, God, please remove my resistance to having a larger reality, if it be your will. I'm going to do the footwork towards getting a new car. Saying it out loud is not easy. Whew. And I'm calling these 3 people to help me in doing that. So I got 3 people's names this weekend to help me with that. I'm going to mail out welcome packages on my coaching to 2 real estate agents that said they want to work with me. I'm going to follow that up with my goals group.
Okay, thank you. Great.
I'm not done. I'm watching you blowing bubbles over there like you're bored to death. Show me some love, Andrew. Okay, I'm going to get information more about these classes I need to take. And I'm going to send email out for our goals group and schedule a time.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Last one.
Last one. Okay, cool. Hi, Justine again. Okay, so I'm going to choose an amount to rent out. I have 2 rooms, and choose the amount to rent one of them out and choose which one I want to rent out, and list the place on Craigslist, Airbnb, and Westside Rentals for both the whole place and a single room in the place. Wow. Okay. Shop online for cars and narrow it down to a maximum of 3 car makes or cars. Look at flights to New York. My mom's going to be in an art show. She has her own art show on October 3rd. I want to attend in New York. Get to yoga, get to hiking. Do my numbers to know the amount I'm going to ask the universe for, and start getting more active in a new spiritual practice.
Okay, great. Thank you. So worry is a meditation on, let me hear it together. Worry is a meditation on shit. And if we don't worry, we can have vision. Vision. Let me say it 3 times. Vision, vision, vision. Great. Let's close it out with the serenity prayer. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things it cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thank you for allowing me to be of service.